Hey people, got a great show here. I'm going to show you about the great red dragon. You know, the difference between the great red dragon and drags, and the head to give phallus, cephalus, and the tail of the aura, and the difference between the tail, the aura, and the heaven, the aura now. So this aura, you'll see the same thing in Hebrew. The first time it comes up is when he's cursing the snake. You know, it's Arur, A-R-U-R. But it actually reads backwards in this Hebrew, and it's the Ruer, R-U-R-A, the Ruru. And so, the first time I ever heard this word Ruru is an old timer was telling me a joke, and he said this was the ancient Indian word for butt fuck. You know, you're cursed. And so this reads a couple different ways, but if you read it, you know, just to give as it you have done, to give as it is that Aru, 8, you know, A-T-E, 8 from cleavum. And so I told you, you know, both the Greek and the Hebrew are talking about boofing in Genesis 3. You know, that's what it means, aruru, behind, the rear, 8 from cleavum. You know, from the cleave, where you're split. You know, who cleavum, whom clitch it, the side, all jump top. End of Portugal, my hijack. So there's actually a lot more in it when you read with the reading directions. You know, it has a layer on top for some, and then the one that knew all the marks, he'd get more out of the book. And I'm going to get more into this in my next movie. And it's the last line of Revelations 8. You know, I was working on that when I got sidetracked on this. It's going to be called Woe, 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 Your Boat. Woe, 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 your boat. I had to hit this to explain better before I read that in 8. But this in Revelations, you know, the 7 angels are blowing their horn. But at the 7th one, you know, being about to sound their trumpets. But it's actually one guy sounding all the trumpets. And being about to is M, from hell on tone. First they're toning them to the sound of hell. From hell on tones all phase in. You can see that word aleph in there. Aleph, alpha, the top. And tones alphas in. But it's here in this word for 3. It'd come up all different ways here. Talking about the trio. And then the line, as you read the I again, the trio in. And you see the word for angel changes here. And it ends with this O-N now. And it's read backwards, and it's the trio in knowledge, N-O-L-E-G. In the knowledge, gaggle, the gagalon. And the gagalon is the harpist, the geese. So this story talks about what he was fixing with the 7 horns, with the 7 trumpets, and it's ending up, and he's talking about himself, you know, the trio in the knowledge, gaggle on toten. In the knowledge of the gaggle on toten a big crowd of geese behind him. Toten from hellet owns all phizin. And it's a story about this cat and this goose. You know, he's toting the gaggle on, and you see it in this ancient art in Egypt. You know, this cat herding the gaggle of geese. In several different ancient paintings. Like he got his net and he's taking them fishing. But it was a deal that he made before he fixed the astrology. And he cut the head off the serpent. You know, he had the trio of knowledge. But back to this dragon. You know, this word for the tail looks the same as the heaven. And the word for the heaven's going to change up some too. You know, sometimes it looks like this, just Orano with a couple extra lines and different O at the end for the OU. But with the directional lines read in here, it's WH, and that's which, and then the O is of, and the which of, and then the line tends to read this way, so it's ARURA, and so it's which of Aurora, the tail, the back, a rear, ARUR. So it's read the same as the Hebrew if you didn't understand the reading direction in the Hebrew, and a lot of the Greek's written like that. And so it changes up this word for heaven. And so here it's, been taught to of, and then the marks here tell you just read this O-N. The line's telling you grab the N, but this is telling you to go the other way. So when you go the other way, you're coming to here at this mark. You already read this side. It's been taught to of on, and then you don't read the O again because you were just reading it once, reached over. And it's WR, on where on a narrow, ONARU. On where on a narrow, the way to heaven, you're on the narrow path is where that comes from. That's how they're getting heaven out of this word. So it's talking about how the astrology's messed up. All the stories of the gods were turning in the heavens, and they figured it all out to make beautiful stories of the gods. But as times changed, the wheels turned, and the qualities they gave them a lot of rura, gave them a lot of sodomy in their stories because the times had changed, and they were trying to leave the same gods the same place. In the Chinese astrology, they were giving them animals and metals, so it wasn't anything freaky when you read about a steel horse and a fire snake. But in the Greek story, they personified all the gods, and so the stories were getting freaky when times changed. And so this heaven here is now to Vuvunaru run of. A Vuvunaru run of. And it was the Triadon Toten, nor its aster on to Vuvunaru on. The tail of him drags a third of Triton. The Triton star, a star on, isn't lining up with the old astrology. He had legs once, and then as times changed, you just put a tail on him, a fish tail, made him god of the sea. And then come blow the horn now, you want to give him cancer and homosexual relations with a bull. The story just isn't adding up. So the cat come to fix the clock because they couldn't deal with the draconian rule. And that's where this comes from, the Draco, the Dracon. And so it's talking about the hand of the Dracon, the Dracon. And this line here means that most of your Bibles, this was turned the other way. They flipped it here. And so it actually reads, the Dracon me gas, from gas, You want to make a fire great? Put gas on it. Meet gas, fire rose, the pyros, the fire rose. In the hand of Dracon, from Megas, from gas, fire rose. And they were burning the old draconian law that had been written in the 7th century BC, because all the ancient law all had to do with astrology. And people that were obeying the book of law had turned homosexual in Greece. And so this is a celebration of to burn from the gas the fire rose of the old draconian law. So I call this the hand of, because in Hebrew that's what that is, the yod, Y-D-O-V, yod of. And it's I do. And it's in the Hebrew they say and he knew her. I do. I do means to marry, I do. Do you promise to be to death? I do. And he knew her. In the Hebrew it's in the Adam, I do. I-D-O. I do. I do too. And he knew Eve. So in the Hebrew he married her. But in the Greek, you can't see it here in this later Bible in the Polyglot, and it's a later writing. But they had changed the writing, removed some words, and they left out all of the directional markings that come from the Septuagint, and it tells a different story. So in this later Greek with no directional markings, it reads Adam de igno avon. The D and the TH are interchangeable. So this could be read THE in one place, and in German they're going to read it D. It means the. Adam the igno avon. He didn't know avon. Igno, not know, but igno. Adam the igno avon then, at the time, then, gonna jacka ought to. Gonna jacka ought to. This is the name of the wife here. Adam was the igno of on then. And so none of these are proper names. Adam, man, is the igno of on. The ignorant of on. And Yvonne is also a name for gay in French, a gay man. And Yvonne. You might read that, EU is who. The life connected to who on. And then gonna jack. Yvonne was then gonna jack. And a man was ignorant of on. And gonna jack what of. Gonna take what of. The key is the U. US. Us will abuse. And then the AE is still ES. Us will abuses. Tell it. The TE and then the KE is L, tell, TEL, the tell it on. And this key here is just like this key here, and it just means replace it with a W. And this isn't Cain, this is wind. In Adam, the igno of on then, gonna jack ya, the wife, the woman, the gonna jack ya, of to use will abuses, tell it on when. So man, the ignorant of on then, gyna, the gyna jacka, the pussy trap, the wife, gyna jack ya, ought to. This is gyna, and it's also gonna, and ought to. And it's something guys say when they talk about a girl. Yeah, I'm gonna, and you really ought to. And so gonna jack you ought to. Us will abuse it, tell. Us will abuse it, tell it on when. We're gonna tell you when you can get some. So this is women talking here. Us women gonna use and abuse you and tell you when you can. So with these directional markings, it flips the story around. And this is no longer Adam, but the mark says to read it Madadame, Madadam, Madadame, like the matador. Like the matador, the bullfighter. Mat meaning dead, the matter to kill. The matador, the killer. So the Madadame. You might have a bearskin mat. And so this is the Madadame, the killer of dames, the woman killer. Madadame, D, and then backwards, Dion, D-E-O-N, is a god, D-O. The D is interchangeable with the T-H. This D-E, the Germans are reading is D, and we read it as the T-H-E. And in the Madadame, replace that D with a T-H. It's the math. And this way, the math had him. It was his job to populate the earth. The math had him. And so Madadame, Dion, Gigano. The Madadame, Dion, Gigano. G-E-G-N-O. And the Gigano is just a Gigano. Everywhere I go, people know the part there's a playing to meet somebody along the way. from the old jig, unknown origin, that means biblical, perhaps Old English, to go, to walk, to pass by, to transgress, forgive you for your transgressions, trespass, to deviate to the side. You see a pretty girl walking down the road, you move over to that side to get a better look and maybe to say something. So the Madadame was Dion, the lady killer god. Dion, short for Dionysus, Bacchus, was getting all the women drunk. That's where your Dios come from, Dios and Theos. And so there's a lot more meaning in there. Matter root is where the red dye came from. The red, the blood, the killer. The Madadame, Dion, Gigano. And then this changes up now. Now it reads En, Enavan, Enavan, Enavan. And so that has a lot of meaning in it too. Enavan, A-V-A-N. V-A-N is from. But Avan is the ruler of earth, or in front of, ahead of, before, proceeding in space or time. The one that came before. So the Madadame, Dion, Gigano, Enavan, then gonna Jack. And the markings have this reads difference, and it's a Vot, V-A-O-T, and then W-T-O, a Vot with two. So a Vot, the line here tells you grab that last letter, so it was the A. And so gonna Jack and of A V-A-O-T, Vot. A Vot is a furrow or trench cut in the soil, to plant your seed. The Vot in that furrow, in that crease, in the furrow. And then the final Vav over here, this is just gonna Jack of Vot, what of. And then the key is the U, it's the Vav. You see the and here, just replace it with a U. And to use us when the lovin', U-S, us, W-N, when the lovin', L-A-V-E-N, us when the lovin'. This is also where your word lavish come from in the Hebrew, lavish and gaudy, to cover you in jewels, to lavin, to cover you. And I yell at this to show you where they added words and changed them. They changed this word. They took the N off of it and they took the key out of here. This whole phrase has been changed here. The Vot, the crevice, what of us when the lavin. And then this is W-V here, the N-E turns into the B or the V, and the K-E turns into the L. So when you see a N or a K surrounded by E's on both sides, it means it's going to read a L or a B, in either direction. And so it's of let it, lent on when, or let the talent, the T-E-L-E-N-T, the talent on. Let the talent on when. And so being that he's a Gigano, that's his talent. And then he's going to tell her everything, trying to get in them drawers. And that's this piping here, and said. But it reads the same, the N-E is the B or the V, and the U-V of pipe, P-I-E-P-E-N, of piping. And piping is a word that means a peep or squeak or something that makes a noise. Pfeifen coming from old German to whistle. Of piping it, of whistling in, of telling the tune, of piping num as it lacked this in. Of pipe of whistling the tune that num N-E-M, them as it lacked this in, the semen, and no port, no portin anthropon diatoa the ova. And there's no port in anther, the A-N-T-H-R, is the male sex organ. And there's no portin, the anthropon, U-P-O-N-O-P-O-N, the anthropon, through toa, through to come out, the ova. And I had a vasectomy, is what it says. And I'll get back to this. There's more to this story of the Cain and Abel. Cain is Wen, common Chinese name, Wen, and it is more due to patience, timing. And Abel is the ability, but it comes up with this mark. It reads a believe, B-E-L-E-V, a believer. But let me get back to those words, I promise, before my computer gets too slow. So we're talking about this dragon over here, the woman and the dragon. From the story here, the dragon don't have a chance. Because, the woman here, clothed with the sun, the sign he's seeing was come. U-S, W-S was. H-M is come. Shem, come. Where chemistry comes from, what comes out. And what comes ion, E-Y-E-O-N, what comes ion, what meets your eye, a sign, something you've seen, what comes ion, mega hot poppet, mega and backwards, H-T-H and Q-O-Q-T-H-E, mega hot poppet. Coming from the Latin pupa, girl or a doll, poppet, but also a mushroom-shaped valve, or a small figure of human being used in sorcery and witchcraft. And so was come I on a mega hot poppet, having tattoo, T-O-T-T-O-O, tattoo on, having tattoo on, where on honor, vagina. This is reading T-O-T-T-O-O, the tattoo, and then you're reading the O-N, and this tells you to go the other way, so it's on, where on, and then O-N, honor, on where on honor, vagina, Perry, around, Perry be gleamin', around be gleamin', it on, gleaming it on, helion, the sun. But the mark says read the helion this way, helion, and then back this way, the oil, it's sun oil. Around be gleaming on it, on sun oil, which selling. She's out there on the beach, butt-ass naked, and got a tattoo of the sun oil that she's selling on her vagina. You ever seen something like that? The great mother coming out of the sun. So this word heaven here is more like having, she had it. That tattoo on wearing honor, what she's dressed in, on wearing honor. The clothes belongs up here. On wearing honor, and then vagina. Around be gleaming it on, the sun oil, which selling a poke at a taco, selling a poke at a taco. And so that's telling you it was a Spanish girl. And then the put-otten, and this could be an odd foot. The pod is the foot, and then move the D over, O-D, odd, and the odd and the third foot. And put out, put at, and put O-T-N, put at, and pod, odd, and as is to this wife epiths of Phalas, as is to this Stephanos, nor its aster on Dudeca. So Stephanos, that's like royal class, it means the crown, crowned by a wreath, a wreath or crown like Israel, as has to, not wanting to, but as has to, this Stephanos, as has to this the wife epiths of Phalas. The epitome of a wife. The wife epithets, and K is L, of Phalas, of Phal, LS. So it seems that he come eye on a big a mega hot poppet, a mushroom, on whereon Honorgina around the Perry, around be bleaming it on the lion oil. The lion is the sun. A big red poppet with a yellow veil, and which selling a poke at a taco, putting on the pod odd, and a single foot is a mushroom. It says to this wife of Piffs, the key follows, phallic is not the head, it's your dick, of phallus, fellatio, and they got this mixed up with keratin. And it says to this the crown, the Stephanos, the crown as Norits, the North Star, not just the star, but the Norits Asteron, the North Star on the deck. On the deck is what we holler when the captain comes on the bridge, or the officer of the deck, be the officer of the quarter deck watch, or the officer with the control of the bridge, on the deck. And nor its aster on the deck, and its stars is not on watch. Everything had a star to work by, and its star wasn't on the deck for harvesting or for doing all the magic spells. You have certain times of harvest, certain times of executing. So it's talking about the mixed up astrology in here. But it's also letting you know that he was high on mushrooms when he saw all this. So if y'all want me to get more into this, give me a hell yeah.
Pay for the dance, sell each romance. Ooh, what they saying? There would come a day when you would pass away. What they say about me, when the end comes, I know I'm just a gigolo. Life goes on without me. Ain't got nobody, nobody cares for me. I'm so sad and lonely, mama. Want something sweet, babe, come and take a chance with me. Cause I ain't so bad.